Yeah, good evening, everyone. Really appreciate all of you joining the call. Idea behind this call essentially was that some of you had reached out to me about continuing that series that I was doing in LinkedIn about a year ago about some of my professional experiences, and I thought that might be better that we can do it in a conversational mode. We can do it where people can share their own experiences. People can talk about what they are experiencing. We can have a short Q&A session. So that's the whole idea. This is more like an experiment, and I thought, why not do it and see how you all like it. And I would love and appreciate any suggestions that you all have also about the timing for the call and any future ideas for newer topics that we should do. So today's topic that I have chosen is essentially how do we stay relevant? We see that there are so many changes happening in the world around us. There are changes happening in everywhere, and whether you see it in the business world, whether you see it in terms of technology, whether you see it in terms of politics, whether you see it in terms of anything that we do, there are things which are happening very fast, and there are things which are happening at a very high magnitude as well. So within all these changes, how do you essentially keep yourself relevant? How do you keep yourself focused? How do you keep yourself abreast? I'll share some of the techniques which helps me. I would love to hear from all and most of you. How planned this essentially is that I'll start off just setting the context. So I know you all must be tired of Zoom calls and PowerPoint presentations, and typically I also hate that equally, and I don't do that. But I thought it would be important to just set the context. So bear with me for the next few minutes. We'll get towards more discussion, more sharing of experiences, and more Q&A. So that's essentially the topic. How do we stay relevant in a world which is extremely rapidly changing, and it's changing at a pace which nobody has seen before. Uh, as I said, new concepts, and there are concepts which we hadn't heard of 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We had heard of some of these concepts in sort of sci-fi setups or sci-fi movies, but we never really thought of these concepts coming in limelight and starting to become important in our day-to-day lives. And everyone is starting to think as to which one do I learn about? Do I learn about virtual reality? How much is AI going to be relevant? What is cryptocurrency? What is blockchain? What is IoT? What is this Industrial Revolution 4.0? Just in terms of technology, then you have multiple things happening and on the global world, and you have multiple things happening on geopolitics. So at times there is a degree of confusion as to how do we stay abreast? How do we stay relevant? What is good for me as an individual? What is good for me in terms of the role that I do? What is good for me in terms of my business? What is good for me as a citizen, as a member of the community? These are some of the dilemmas that all of us are facing. And we'll try to unearth, we'll try to open up some of those through some techniques that I'm using. And as I said, I'd love to hear from you all as well. So, I mean, if you just see over the last few months itself, we've started, there's so much talk about Chat GPT, what it is doing, what it can do. There is a level of excitement. Equally, there is a level of fear. Equally, there is a level of unknown as to what is this thing and what can it do for all of us. And that's happening. I mean, if you just go a year before, we were talking about cryptocurrency, we were talking about blockchain, and suddenly there's nobody talking about cryptocurrency anymore. People have moved on. There are discussions about metaverse. There are discussions about what Twitter is doing. So multiple things essentially are happening and moving at a rapid pace. And we have also seen what's happening on the job front that affects, I think, most of us. till about a year ago, we were seeing major hiring being announced across the world. You just couldn't find enough people to hire, especially on the tech side. And now all you hear is the layoffs that's happening across the world. So you can just see the magnitude of the concepts that are coming and the volatility of the change that is happening. So I thought how I would structure it, and what I really like doing in terms of format is why is it important for us to stay relevant? Then we'll talk about what does it mean to stay relevant. We'll talk about when is it important to stay relevant? How frequently is it important? And we'll talk about how to do that, and who to seek help from towards all of that. So that's how this is structured. So why staying relevant? As I said, the world is changing faster. It's extremely volatile. You can have rapid hiring and layoffs within 12 months within the same company, within the same organization. People are talking about alternative models for getting work done. So you are talking about what role will robotics have, what role will AI have, what's the role that people will do in terms of collaborating. Is it going to be remote? Is it going to be on-site? Is it going to be hybrid? So everything is extremely like about 2 years ago, we said 80% of people would work remotely, and most of the companies had talked about that and announced that. And now we see the same companies asking about people coming and working on site. So that this volatility is going to be a part of who we are, and it is going to be this. This is the new order. So how do we stay? How do we stay focused within that? Is what we're going to talk about. And it is extremely clear that to be relevant, I mean, earlier people used to learn for the first 16, 18 years. Post college, you would essentially be more counting on part of collegial learning, but more importantly on the experiential learning that people had. But that's no longer good enough. I mean, if you just think of it, everything that we are carrying, all the devices, software, and everything keeps getting upgraded so frequently. So it is equally important or more important for all of us to stay on top of it, to keep up or be continuously relevant. So the why part, I thought, is very, very clear that why stay relevant is very, very important, because the world is just changing very, very fast. And what the important thing is, what does it mean? What, when we are saying staying relevant, it is easy to say that we need to be relevant, but what does it actually mean? So I thought the model of T is extremely helpful there, that it requires both breadth and depth in terms of staying relevant. We need to have breadth, like the top line of the T. We're just being aware of what's happening around the world. So if it's technology, we know about it. If it's a new industry, so what does EV mean? What does energy transition mean? What is 5G all about? What is industrial revolution all about? What is quantum computing all about? Just knowing the very basics for awareness is extremely important. And then having that depth for focus and expertise. So once you realize that there is something that you really love about, whether it can be anything. It can be robotics. It can be data analytics. It can be just working on something using augmented reality. It could be. Once you've realized what you really like and what you really love, then going deep in that for focus and expertise is very, very is the how typically I have found myself doing it, and it's worked for me. So, and I've also seen that I mean, people spend a lot of time in terms of predicting and analyzing that which industry is going to be the industry of tomorrow, and hence I should be focusing on that piece for my expertise. I would differ a bit from there. I would say, don't worry about getting wrong in your choice, because great at something is always a requirement. being a great economist, being a great journalist, being a great painter, being a great writer, any of whether it is sciences, whether it is technology, whether it's liberal arts, anything being great at is always is going to be in demand, and you love what you do. So what people keep saying, do what you love and love what you do. So expertise should be in that sort of area. So clearly, in terms of having a breadth for awareness and having a depth for focus is the model that has worked for me. I'd love to see what has worked for others as well. But that would, I would say, in today's world where there is so much of multiplicity of information coming in, you cannot be knowing about everything, but knowing a bit about everything and then deciding what do I love, what is relevant for me, what works for me in my role, in myself, what appeals to me is extremely important. Then very important is when do we do it? I mean, when we talk about is staying relevant important only when we are thinking of career transitions, or is staying important when you see a new technology or concept which is coming? And at times we see that people think about doing a learning or adapting or upgrading themselves just to fulfill the annual training calendar. So I would there essentially say that it's not a choice that you can be relevant at some pockets and points. It is something almost like what is a continuous improvement. It's like Kaizen, that you have to be all the time updated. And that means being aware, and that means working on the side on something that you really love, working in a very focused manner towards something that we love. The way at least I like to see is typically what you have is an S curve, where the initial part of an S curve is when we start learning, the learning cycle goes up very fast. Then you start plateauing out. And whenever we see that we are plateauing out in a particular learning, in a particular expertise, it is important to start a new curve. So you start off with the first orbit, which is the first S curve. And whenever we feel that there is a good degree of expertise, the pace of learning is sort of slowing down, it becomes important to create that next orbital shift. And to just kind of highlight that with some of the how part, it is how do we stay relevant all the time? So typically the model is a 70-20-10 sort of model. It's not hard and fast, but it kind of gives you a perspective. A very significant part of staying relevant is on the job. And on the job, how do we stay relevant? I mean, typically what people have is their roles defined, that I'm in sales, I'm in marketing, I'm in technology, I'm in operations, I'm in research. I've always found that what works best is just going outside, breaking those boundaries and breaking outside that role box, trying to understand much more on the sides of what people are doing. So if I'm in sales, I would want to know more about what my customer is doing, know more about how the folks in delivery are delivering, trying to step into their shoes, trying to get into their roles. And that keeps, I mean, the mind sharp, that allows us to learn more about, in this kind of a situation, about the customer, about the delivery or operations folks or the technology folks. And that can be done in any role. Do not box yourself into a role box. And again, this is a learning that I've had, that I've always found that going outside the box is never thought of myself in terms of definition. That's very important. And then the other thing is, if you want to learn a new thing, while you're learning, apply those new concepts in within your job. There are multiple opportunities towards applying new concepts. And I've again had examples of applying artificial intelligence in HR, in legal, in predicting results or financial results for the next subsequent quarters. So it's extremely important that the learning is not on theory. Whatever, so one is going outside the box, and whatever you're learning, apply it. And apply IoT sensors in supply chain. So there's so many examples adaptive in terms of where this can be applied. So bulk of this learning happens on the job, of coming outside the comfort zone, of breaking the box of the role, taking on newer initiatives, newer responsibilities. 20% or about one third of that happens through social learning, which is peer to peer, which is mentors, which is in your network. Ask questions, ask why do you do what you do? And no questions are stupid. Be very, very selfish towards your own learning without having any kind of ego. That again, I've seen that across that. Whenever I changed my orbit and from one to another, I was extremely selfish asking people that what does it mean? And today I'm advising different kind of companies, companies that I've never done before. And I have to learn from the basics. And I'm again asking anybody and everybody about what to do. And then 10% is the formal learning or training that you do outside, that you go towards external center or something towards that. So that sort of a model, again, it's not hard and fast, but that kind of gives a perspective as to how it is possible to stay relevant. How is it possible to do that while on the job and continue doing that? I thought I'll give, since I said I'll give examples from my journey. So within my journey also, I just broke it into 5 years sort of blocks where I did all the three pieces. I won't say that it all was by design. A lot of it was by default also. But if I look back, I see that during the earlier years, I did on the job training a whole lot, on the job learning, just by doing multiple roles, from quality to sales to P&L to operations. I was doing a lot of learning in terms of peer group, in terms of whenever I moved from one to another role. I recall that when I moved from operations to sales, and I didn't know what a letter of credit was. I didn't know what was excise. I didn't know what was excise duty and other things like that, what was duty drawback. And then it was to learn from the person who was doing it without really thinking that I need to know everything. And some formal training at that point of time I did was on ERP. Between 2000 to 2005, I was doing more stuff in terms of setting up newer facility. That was the time I entered the role of CEO. I was dealing with, on the peer side, a lot of investment bankers, banking, finance, both from a perspective at that point of time from an IPO, as well as while the company was going through a slowdown in terms of debt restructuring and everything. Similarly, I mean, if you see at every point of time, I was either changing the comfort zone in terms of moving to a newer vertical. For almost 18 years, my role remained the same. I was the CEO. So how do I then keep myself relevant? Then I, on the job, change verticals, change my team, or change my mentors or peer coaching. And over the last 10 years, I would always go also find ways to do formal training. Recall almost 10 years ago in 2013, I had gone to Center for Creative Leadership, CCL. I did Singularity about 6-7 years ago. For the last 5 years, I've been a member of Abundance. I've been members on the policy side of organizations here. So there are multiple opportunities. There are online opportunities. There are organizational opportunities. There are formal learning opportunities. Just finding getting outside the comfort zone, finding the social mentors, and then finding formal training is a mode which has helped me. So I've had multiple S curves, and I forced myself an orbit shift almost every few years to whenever I found that the comfort zone set in. And as I said, it was not all by design. A lot of it happened by default, but over the last 8, 10 years, I was very conscious about doing it by design. Also, when I found any time comfort zone seeking, and I would seek to change the orbit. So, and the final piece, who do you ask help for? One thing that really helps is first to identify in terms of who are the people who can help me in staying relevant. Uh, Start looking at within my organization itself who are ready to take on a bet on me for any kind of assignments. And assignments need not mean a changed role. It can mean taking in a challenging project itself, getting involved in a project which being a part of the project team itself, and which is a challenging one. And you'll see tremendous amount of learning. So keeping an eye and ear open for any challenging projects that are there within the organization. So that addresses the organizational piece. Then the piece about who within my network. So whether it's a LinkedIn network, whether it is my WhatsApp network, whether it is my whatever Facebook network, whether it is my community, my place where I live in, who who can be my coach, who can be my mentor. And it can be, you don't need to have one mentor or one coach. You can have multiple coaches, multiple mentors for various facets. You can have a coach for a week, you can have a coach for a year. So, and you'd be surprised at people being so generous with whenever I've reached out to people saying that I need help in this area, can you help me? People have been extremely, extremely generous towards that. And about formal training, again, my suggestion is the same, that talk to your manager and HR, but don't stop there. Talk to people who have undergone training. Talk to people around and see what works. It's the entire thing is about being networked all the time, being aware of what's happening, and first and foremost, it's just identifying the who are the people who can help me, and being completely unashamed about going there and asking for that help. And you'll find that even if sometimes people are not there, but I've found that more than ever, more than 95% of the time, people are always ready to help out and help you in an area where you require help. So that said, that's been sort of my experience. I would love to hear from all of you here, and whoever wants to start. I notice a lot of familiar names and familiar faces, and some new names and faces, or not faces. I would say names because the cameras are not on, but. Would be great to hear from. Would be great to hear from you. What are you doing, and how? If you have any questions.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening, Ajay.
Great to see you after long years. It's a pleasure listening to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, any thoughts, any comments you have, Ajay?
So the 70-20-10 is very good input, sir, in terms of looking for S orbit and kind of like ship which gets created. And we've been applying it in our industry also. After leaving Vedanta, now I have been working with Deepak Group at Deepak Finolex, and a lot of transformation which has been kind of like brought in with this 70-20-10 kind of like overall social networking, as well as training, which has been kind of like relevant for personal growth and transformation. So a lot of good input, sir. I could see a lot of learns, which is basically a mentoring, which has been in the initial days from you. So thank you for the kind of like rejuvenation of the all thoughts.
Sure.
Useful again, refreshing it.
Great. Any questions that Ajay you want to raise from anyone in the forum? That.
But after so many long industry experience with the one industry, sir, how you are finding it relevant in terms of, because as you have given that there is a too much amount of like T kind of thing is coming where breadth and width is getting changed. So how you kind of like decide which is a kind of like field you want to be in? Considering breadth is wide, and depth you can go as deep you want to go inside. So how you find it, like where you want to really stop yourself?
No, great question, Ajay. So that's a dilemma that I think everyone has, and we've been hearing. And it's not a question only for people. I see the similar question coming from organizations as well. That there are so much opportunities, and there is not only opportunities. There is so much that organizations need to keep relevant themselves on. And the question is that how do you choose the area that you want to essentially focus? So I'll sort of repeat, Ajay, first and foremost is towards being aware as to like what is typically defined as that what are the adjacencies in which I have been there. I have loved, for instance, if like I used to earlier do telecom, so I then started seeing the adjacencies, which was digital. I was in the areas of power, then I'm seeing adjacency, which is in energy transition. And then starting to see what within that, whether it's energy transition, whether it is cloud, whether it is, what are the areas where I can learn more about? What are the areas that really appeal to me personally? I would like to know more about the technology of, say, energy transition. I would like to know more about the economics of energy transition. I would like to know more about the politics of, and policy about it. And there are multiple things that you can get in. And they're starting to then see, okay, these are the 5 or 6 areas that are that seem interesting to me. Which one is extremely exciting for me, and can I apply some of it on my job? Because it needs to be adjacent to what I'm sort of doing. I have at least found that to be a technique that I don't, at least I have not gone something from completely 180-degree from where I have been. I apply adjacencies, and then through that adjacency, you find that some of that adjacency starts becoming the core. And what you are great at, what you have achieved your S curve on, is always within you. So you can apply that all the time, but you then start gaining expertise on a new thing, and your second S curve sort of starts. And there, as I said, there is no perfect right or wrong answer. As long as you're learning, as long as it's adjacent, as long as you're loving it, then you find that the applicability of that starts coming in. I've seen great things happening at the merger of two industries, of two technologies, of two, because the basics are always the same in whether you are running a business, whether you are doing a role, the fundamentals are very similar. But how you apply one from another, how you apply one experience, like I've been applying experience which I may have gained in a power industry, and I am applying it to, say, a semiconductor or a cybersecurity or a 5G industry, and that then starts getting really movable. But I've seen that adjacency, new area, applicability to the job, and then kind of going from there. That's been my.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Ajay.
Sir, you are also now advising to a lot of startups for their next level of growth.
Yes, so I'm mostly doing medium-sized companies right now, but I am advising startups more on a friendly and this basis. So professional basis, more people who have done reached a certain scale, and they are looking at what they need to do next. So similar question that there is opportunities, should I get into that or not, etc., etc. And a few startups more to keep myself abreast. So that addresses my 20 and 10% as well.
Great, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Ajay.
Hi, Dr. Anand, Sankalp this side.
Hi, Sankalp.
Hello, sir.
Hello, hi.
So it's a pleasure hearing you after so long time. I have now shifted from Sterlite to one of the company of specialty optical fiber laser here in the UK. So I am shifted now. But it's always a pleasure listening you, and when I saw this opportunity that I will be interacting with you, I was really excited. So thank you for arranging this, and so that I can hear you one more time. I have two questions. One is that as you said that Esker, I really like that thing because I have, during my 10 years of experience, I have changed role multiple times from operations to supply chain to services and to projects also. And I have seen that as you have also been to such journey and you have leveraged that opportunities to reach the level at where you are. So first, my question is how to leverage that small experiences to your benefit, because to some it may look that you are not constant, to some it may become opportunity that you are having experience in all this field. And second question about finding mentor and coach. uh, how can I make you my mentor or coach? So yeah, those are the two questions.
Great to hear from you, Sankalp. So second question is easy. I mean, whenever you require any help, I'm available. I'm talking to a lot of people, and so it's just reach out whichever way, and I'm available. The first question which you said, that how do you draw a thread between all your experience, whether it is operations, supply chain, you said services, project, etc. So I would say that don't force fit to draw a thread. You will see those threads automatically coming through. So whatever are the roles that you are essentially doing, try to draw a thread only when you are appearing for a job interview or something like for your resume, where you say that all of this sort of made sense, but you'll start seeing that all of it makes sense. What you learned in operations, supply chain, and subsumes your experience in operations. Project takes that forward because you start seeing essentially that what it meant towards setting up something new. And when you are doing servicing, you are closer to customer. You are so in some way, I would say that you are becoming a part of a vertical value chain. You are essentially from operations getting subsumed into supply chain, then setting up projects. I don't know which kind of projects you are setting up, but it does not matter actually. The main aspect is to keep learning what you are learning in the areas that you really love. And the storytelling, drawing the thread between the various parts should not be too difficult. And we can talk more about it. If it is to draw the thread for yourself, I can help you in that. If it is to draw the thread for a third person, where you want to showcase that there is design behind what you are doing, I can help you in that also. So we can talk offline and definitely structure that.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Anand. It was very insightful. Thank you.
Thanks. Who's next?
Yeah, sir. So I'm in Aurangabad. So I just want to ask, sir, first of all, with my job, my wife is doing business in the product. We have one product. She develops one product, and with that, we have spread that product across the 200 customers. Okay, right now. So what we are facing that means every time when we are updating that things, then market is far above the expectations, right? So just question is like that, how we can be heard, be the next make ourselves forward to the market and with our competitors. Means that's what I'm just want to ask.
Sure. Praveen, what typically has worked for me essentially, and I can just share from my experience, I would love to hear from more other people also, is that whenever you're developing a product, look at more closely to your customers than the competition. Because whenever you're looking at the customer and seeing what need of the customer is my product serving, and putting yourself in the shoe of the customer and seeing that, is my product really serving that need of the customer? Is it better than what everybody else is providing? I think that empathy and that knowledge itself will help in positioning whenever you're doing marketing or whenever you are having that interaction with the customer, will help you in being in their shoe and learning more about it. But by typically emulating what the competition is doing, you're always behind the competition. So it's like whenever you're running a race, if you would have seen people who are running a race, they never look on their sides on their competition or look behind where the people are. They're always looking at the finishing line or the goal line. It's okay to know about the competition. So again, in a T model, it's good to be aware of competition, but not follow the competition, follow the customer. Follow the depth needs to be towards the customer, not the competition. The awareness needs to be of the competition. If you see that whatever your product is, and again, if offline you want to reach out and talk about it, I would be great. I would welcome to know more about it and see that at times we ignore that. At times we forget the why part of why my customer is going to buy my product or my service or my or their time. Why is it? Are they going to do that? And answering that question is very, very helpful. Otherwise, sometimes what happens is when we are making the product, trying to catch up with competition, the competition, if they are bigger, larger, faster than all of us, then so you have to almost start a new queue. वो एक मूवी थी ना जिसमें अमिताभ बच्चन सेड कि हम जहां से खड़े होते हैं लाइन वहीं से शुरू होती है. So you have to start a new queue and say that कि मैं यहाँ खड़ा हूँ, लाइन यहीं से है, and then have the competition come behind you.
Yeah, so correct. The same feeling we are getting. Yeah, so it's correctly said that we need to focus on customer, not the competitor. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thanks.
Hi, Anand.
Hey, hi Vinay, how are you?
I am good, Anand. Always a pleasure listening to you and hearing from your insights. Apologies, I'm in my t-shirt and pajamas. It's a Sunday, so I'm just staying relevant for a Sunday. On a serious note, when I looked at the topic and looked at your slides, I just remembered a famous quote from Jack Welch. He said that if the rate of change outside is faster than the rate of change inside, then your end is near. Yeah. And I think it's very relevant for individuals and organizations. I have two questions for you. One is more professionally for me, and the second question is more, looking at the world outside. So on a personal front, and I don't think so I could have had a better person to ask this question. When we look at marketing has always been treated as a cost function. You always look at more on the branding side rather than the value that marketing is bringing in for business. So as a CEO, what would be your feedback or what would be your guidance to individuals like me who are part of the marketing team? How could we drive more value or how could we have more say when we are part of the executive leadership team? That was my first question.
Sure. Yeah, very relevant question, Vinay. And I see this, you make yourself relevant. At least I've always, whenever I interacted with the marketing people, I always said that marketing is a lead. It's almost like you have strategy, then you have marketing, then you have sales, you have technology, you have operations, and everyone. So marketing is the essentially where you are selling the art of what is possible. Selling or knowing about the interacting with the customers, knowing what is possible. And sometimes the role of marketing is actually going beyond, is actually essentially saying that this is that what I can provide, what I can do. If marketing is behind sales or behind operations, I've always found that you are limited to what I have done or what I can do today. Then it's almost like making collaterals. It's essentially doing the very basics. It's like a Maslow's hierarchy. You are just doing the basics.
Yeah, more of hygiene. Yeah,
more of hygiene. Yeah, so collaterals, videos, social, digital, print, and you think advertisement we are done. But if you start thinking that where do I need to be 3 years from today, where do I need to be 5 years from today, how do I make that happen? How do I make that possible? How do I sell that vision to my customer? How do I sell that vision internally? Because marketing is as much about a customer, a industry, and it is internal, about being a thought leader. So marketing is about thought leadership. Whenever you're seen as a thought leader externally, it also helps in being a thought leader internally. Marketing is as much about external marketing as much as it is internal marketing. I always wanted and I've seen marketing as evangelists who can transform the outside and the inside world.
Right.
And I'm sorry to say that I've found marketing people, they have been the ones that I've always tried to exhort. And I've found always marketing people to go in their boxes and say, oh, I have made the collateral, I've done so many exhibitions, or I have done my digital, or my LinkedIn followership is going up. There is so much possibility that marketing is doing. It's such an exciting role where there are no boundaries. The only boundary is my 5 years later strategic roadmap. As long as you're not going out that, create that and sell that. There is you're no lesser than anybody else in the organization or anywhere else.
Got it. That's quite clear. My second question was more about a topic which I know you are very passionate about, which is technology. And whenever we've had conversations, it was always about technology for better humanity. But these days, technology has become better than humanity. Because we are saying that technology is driving everything, especially if you look at ChatGPT, AI. Just want to understand your perspective that how do you see that balance happening between technology leading the way, or is it going to be humanity or people actually driving it? Because over the last, I would say a month or so, with ChatGPT coming in, it's perhaps disrupted every market, every industry that we're talking about. And, people have started doubting themselves that technology is going to take my jobs. In fact, you mentioned in one of your slides also. So what is your vision? How do you see this happening in the next 3 to 5 years? And, where is it heading? A perspective would be really helpful for guys like me.
Sure. So first of all, I see the historical context of anything to do with technology. And we have great examples from all the industrial revolutions, the first, second, third, fourth, whatever it is. And you would see that at any point, there was a shift or a change, a similar kind of fear got set in that technology will take away our, whatever it is, our jobs, our livelihood, our any aspect of it. And the fear was to a certain degree founded and to a certain degree unfounded. We've always found that technology, we have to all remember that technology is a tool.
Yep.
And any tool used wisely by human beings is always augmented. So whether it is chat GPT or AI or robotics, or if you are using it in the right fashion as a tool, see, even a power saw can be very detrimental to human beings if you turn it around to yourself. So using it in the right manner, you realize that chat GPT has information till 2021 today.
Yeah.
We've seen that, that these tools are very good for doing stuff which is routine, stuff which is risky, stuff which is repetitive. These are very, very good. And you won't want to do things which are either risky or routine or repetitive. Yeah. So I see these tools as things to keep the mind sharper, to force ourselves to keep to have more critical thinking, to apply the knowledge more, where you are using chat GPT to increase your efficiency, to kind of outsource a lot of jobs. And I've seen multiple great examples where people are using chat GPT for a lot of marketing campaigns, a lot of writing the stuff which used to be mundane at times. And now you can take from the best in the world and create that collateral. So chat GPT can address your how piece, but the why and the what piece needs to come from you. that why do I want to do what I want to do? And what is it that I want to use the chat GPT as a tool for? And then why do I wait for 15, 30, 45 days to start my campaign? Why can't I do it in 10 minutes?
Got that.
So use it as a tool and you'll find that it is your best friend.
Sure.
Look at it as a foe, then you will see that the power saw is turned inwards.
Yeah. The moment you called it as a tool, that says it all, right? Tool is for enabling people. And I think that's what exactly ChatGPT is doing.
No, and it's very important. Don't force a tool. I mean, it's also a lot of things don't require any tool.
Yeah.
Or when you require a screwdriver, don't use a hammer. Don't force fit AI to be used in just for the sake of using AI and appearing cool. So that's very, very important. Technology is always a tool, and it's not always required also.
Yeah. Thanks, Anand. Always a pleasure listening, and I look forward for all the future sessions which are coming. Good luck.
When I need the help in sending me some suggestions for new topics, what is?
I will do that, Anand, for sure.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Good job.
Good evening, Dr. Anand. Dhananjay here.
Yeah, hi Dhananjay, how are you?
Good, sir. Good. It is a pleasure listening to you. I don't have any questions. Most of them have been already asked and answered by you. Just to say hi, and it was really a nice evening surprise, I would say, to have this session with you. So thank you so much, and we would love to have these sessions again. And in case we can contribute anywhere, we will be happy to do so in helping out with the sessions. Thank you so much.
Any experience you want to share, Dhananjay, for the sake of everyone who's there?
So, sir, I have been working on technologies on AMI, LTWAN networks from last 4-5 years, and I was always a great proponent that the scale will come from utilities. IoT does have use cases in industry, in smart factory, and those use cases, but those are always specific. They require some kind of changes so it's not a mass product. As far as industry goes, there has to be some customizations involved. And from last 1.5 years, I'm sure you are aware that RDSS scheme has come. There are 250 smart electric meters are being tendered. 40-45 million have already been awarded. So I've been in this scheme of things from last 4-5 years. And as you rightly pointed out, that you have to understand where your strength is, and you have to be aware of the breadth and be there, standing there in the queue, having the interactions with the right people, making right alliances, getting right mentors or partnering with right companies. That has helped in terms of being there at the right cusp and having those opportunities opening up right now for the people or the organizations I'm associated with. It has really helped in giving. So in LPWAN also there are many technologies. Then now I have got into NB-IoT space, understanding 5G, private LTE. Rohit is there, so Rohit and me also keep on interacting on those aspects. So being abreast, now getting into MDS and HGS software side of it, which I had never done, but I'm now sitting on calls and understanding what is staging, what is scaling, how the cloud works, how a Kafka messaging queue works. So just being there, I as you said, that just being sitting in a meeting and just absorbing things give you a lot of insights. You may not, I may not be able to set up a Kafka queue, but now I know what it is, what is the relevance, how it is good for any kind of a large project where messaging or two-way communication is required at a very high scale, and that's the learning. So I'm saying that whatever you have said is absolutely relevant, to the point. Even on the AI side, ChatGPT, as you rightly pointed out, I've been using it for 2.5 months now. It's a great tool. Writing a cover letter, writing a offer, or just preparing a simple question for an interview. And of course, it requires a very right prompt, as you pointed out, that don't use a hammer in place of a screwdriver, that the prompt has to be very right. Even the AI needs a very clear direction on what you require from it. and then take out the best out of it, and then add some of your insights or your industry specific thing, and that will add value. So it can be a great secretary, but of course you need to have a control on how you want to use it. So all
Sure.
things relevant, sir. Everything you said was relevant. Thank you so
Thank-
much.
Thanks, Anjay, for your inputs.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Hi, sir. Good evening. How are you?
Great, Rohit. Great to see you after so long. Yeah.
Sir, absolutely delighted to see you and very happy to see that you're not aging at all.
Can say the same about.
Sanjay and me, but you're not aging at all. So congrats on that.
Mm.
Sir, my question is more around people. So I feel, I have seen the Microsofts and the Oracles and the Nokias of the world, have worked with them, and I have found only one thing relevant. It's all about people, irrespective of whatever technology is coming in. If you have the right people to sell it, or if you have the right people to maneuver it, I think everything goes right. Sir, my question to you is that since you have been the longest serving CEO I have seen personally in my life, how have you kept people motivated? Because I now I have after Sterlite, now is again the time when I have team under me. Because after Sterlite, I chose to be an IC role for a very long time, and finally now I have gone into a role where I have a large team under me, and I really want to keep them relevant.
Mhm. So very relevant question, Rohit. So what I did, and what I've always found is it works best if you are extremely communicative with the people around, and being very transparent with them. So sometimes people tend to hold a lot of stuff and kind of dish out stuff on a need to know basis, which is okay. But I found that I've not followed too much of hierarchical domains, and kind of shared, for instance, if there is a direction, if there is a purpose, if there is a goal, if there is a vision, talking about why we are doing what we are intending to do. Very important is the why thing that I have learned. I mean, see, people today are looking at within the role and within the job also a purpose behind that piece. That if I'm doing something, and the best why works when you are able to correlate that to impacting something important. It could be impacting an aspect of other human beings' lives or something, and anything that you do, you can create that correlation. So first and foremost is to share with everyone why do we believe what we are doing. Then applying that clarity of what do we intend to achieve or what do we intend to do, seeking feedback on and then moving after what that, okay, I need to do this in 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 8 weeks or 2 years or 1 year. The when part, the how part, and the who part, that who takes this on, how can this be taken on. Having a channel of communication and sharing this entire journey that and the most powerful or the most motivating is the why piece. See, the rest of the pieces typically all of us do, or sometimes we do it in a prescriptive manner. Sometimes we say, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what has come from the management, or this is the vision of the company. We need to do it in 1 year, and this is the quarterly goal. You will do it, and this is how you will do it. You will sell so much here. You will sell. So then I'm not getting motivated. I'm being assigned a task. But if the same thing can be structured in a different manner, we essentially talk about that, okay, this we are, why are we working? We are working towards enabling our customers, who can be enabling consumers at the end. So how do I make my customer more successful? And anything that I'm doing, whether it's a service, whether it's a product, whether it's a subscription, how am I enabling my customers towards making their consumers more effective, more efficient, or their lives more better? And towards doing that, okay, this is my short-term goal, this is my long-term goal, this is how I intend to do. Do you have any suggestions? Can we do this better? Engaging and involving the team in that piece. really selling the proposition of the why, making sure that the why is understood by all of that. After that, the job becomes much, much easier. And the job becomes, you might be playing your managerial roles in helping and in assigning tasks, but let the first piece of it come from the team. Let the piece come from everyone, where it is a collaborative attempt towards doing that. Because nobody likes to be assigned a task. At the end of the day, you have to do it towards structuring that, but doing it in a collaborative manner with a strong why always is very, very helpful. Then people see themselves as part of a bigger purpose, where the short-term goals and assignments are always seen towards achieving a bigger purpose. And the purpose cannot be a company's vision. A purpose has to be beyond that.
True, absolutely true.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much. Sir, the presentation which you have shown us, which you have shared on the screen, will it be a shareable content on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I'll upload that. Absolutely.
That'd be absolutely great, sir.
And I'd love if you all can give me some inputs about what thing I should talk about in the next session, and whether this time works for everyone. This 8 p.m. I know it kind of on Sunday collides with dinner and stuff, but just let me know that. That will be helpful.
It works pretty well for me, sir. I'll send the suggestions as well.
Okay, great.
It works, sir. And just to add to your point that the team has to be, you have never kept hierarchy. I think most of are not direct reportees. They must be at least two to 3 or 4 levels down who are attending this call. So everyone has a connect with you purely because you have never kept hierarchy as a metric in your operations, and you are dealing with your team across board, across various companies which you have headed always.
Great. So if someone has anything to share right now, we can do that. Or I know it's been over an hour. Okay, I see somebody coming up. Yeah, Manohar, you wish to share something?
Sir, regarding myself, I'm Manohar Paul. I'm associated with HFCL from last 10 years. Before that, I was with Sterlite for 14 years. So it is nice to hear you after a long time. And I know that when I was in your target is regarding the Sterlite to keep top 10 in the world. So every time we ask us during the meeting in 2002, 2004, we need to make STL in the top 10 in the globally top 10 company. So now after a long time, we always see the Sterlite is in the top 5 company in the telecom. So it is a really proud moment for everyone of the Sterlite. And we are also proud feeling regarding this. So my question is regarding the telecom industry. From last 2 to 3 days after COVID, there is an increase in the requirement of the 5G and the data for everyone's internet, all the things and everything is increased. So there is an increase. The requirement of the data center is increasing. The optical fiber requirement is increasing. So definitely there is a drastic increase in the requirement of the optical fiber. So my question is, how we will make sure that everyone is going to increase their capacities, and everyone want to have a good capacity to capture all these businesses. But like in last 3 days, there is a drastic increase in the data. So maybe in coming days, the technology is going to change from optical fiber to the another technology. There is maybe always there. We found that the technology is shifting from one technology to another technology. So how we will make sure, how we will keep ourselves updated for this new technology, or how we assess the risks for such technology. So what is your input on this? How we will make sure that this technology remains same, or if anything new is coming, and how we are going to update on this?
Sure. So again, a very, very relevant question, Manohar. So typically, again, you have to go down to the basics as to the product. Let's say optical fiber, what is it? use for it, is a medium for communication. Then go to the breadth part of the T, seeing that what are the 10 other things that are used for communications. There is from copper to right now satellite communication. All this has certain strengths and it has certain pros and cons towards this. Post understanding that, then trying to see from your area of strength within optical fiber, what are the next generation of advances that are happening. Typically, advances happen in universities, in research labs, and you get to know more about it much earlier before it becomes commercial. 10 to 12 years before it becomes commercial, you start knowing more about it first in patents, then in standard bodies, and then you start seeing the early signs of it in early adopters. So getting the width part of it from alternate technologies, understand what space is doing, understand what is microwave, understand what is 6G, understand what is the forthcoming technologies in copper also. But within the area, if you are an expert in fiber, knowing in fiber what's happening in fiber in patents, what's happening in fiber in research labs, what's happening in fiber in standards, from that you get a very good clue of what is passing through all the filters. So typically it is patents, then it is research labs, patents, standards, early adopters, and then it becomes commercial. And there is enough time to see what is passing all the way through for you to see that, okay, out of these 5 things, these are the 2 things or 3 things I'm going to bet on, because one, I think it is closer to my capability. Second, I can do that and I can really bet myself on that. So that's been my experience.
That is right, actually. For shifting the technology, there is a duration of time. In meantime, we can understand what technology is going to change. Definitely it works.
But being ahead of that is always very, very helpful, because as we were talking earlier, don't wait for the competition to do it and then do it. Take a leadership, take a thought leadership, take a product leadership, take a positioning with your customer leadership.
Definitely.
Great.
Thank you, sir. Nice to talk with you. Once again, thank you.
Thank you, Manohar. So thanks everyone for being on the call. I know we've run a bit longer. As I said, I'll really appreciate your inputs on what should be the next discussion topic. If you can just drop it on the LinkedIn. Maybe I'll share the presentation there as well. And then if any suggestions for time, some people talked about that this time works for them. So for the moment, we'll continue with this unless somebody has better or different ideas. So great. I hope you all got something actionable from this, because it's very important that it is applied and it's all taken towards that next level. And then we'll continue this conversation. So good night. Have a great next.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night, sir. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.